Welcome to Read My Lips, a book podcast all about books, authors, publishers, and literary agents. In this episode, I am joined by the wonderful Chris Hodson. Nice to have you in the studio.
Great to be here.
I'd love for the audience to hear perhaps maybe a little bit about yourself before we go into some other little content as well.
Cool. It's nice to be called an author. I've been called lots of things. But Chris Hodson, been in kind of cybersecurity for most of this, but kind of 25 years, like way before it was known as cybersecurity. And wrote a book back in, I think 2017-ish now, just around some of the challenges of actually applying cybersecurity for various different kind of audiences and different sort of organizations. So
fantastic.
End user world for a while, so working for banks and things, and then the dark side of vendor world for a decade.
And it's nice to have, I think, when I interview with authors, I think it's so nice that to have a varied background, but also to have a vast, experience. I think you're more successful as an older author than a younger author, and not. I was going to say not to say that you're old by any means, but I think it is quite nice that you're learning on all the experience and then applying that to being an author.
Well, enormously cathartic experience. Literally, when the publishers approached me about it, it was just like, can I just talk about anything and just sort of vent in a moderately articulate way? So that's hopefully what I did. Yeah.
Nice. And it is such an achievement, isn't it? We've got so many authors that we have on for different genres, different subjects, topics. So we're going to go into that in a little bit more detail, a little bit on what I'm going to do first. And we've got some exciting things that, a couple of challenges that we're going to drag you into.
Which for everyone, Kathy, you told me about 2 seconds ago. So
exactly. So no planning, no previous experience, but that's going to be the exciting bit. I think that's going to be
for you.
Today. But firstly, what I'm actually going to be doing every single week is I want to be talking about not only the kind of the bestsellers that are out there, but what is, I think, more interesting is some of the background behind some of the bestsellers. Okay. So I look at the Sunday Times bestsellers every single week. And I think what's interesting is probably every author out there always wants to be, I want to be, the Sunday Times bestseller, I want to be the New York Times bestseller. But what I think is interesting is sometimes the background behind some of those authors, where they've been from. They haven't always been writers and so on, or in the publishing industry. So as you can see here, so I'm going to go through the first one. And some of these...
Do I have to pretend to have read them?
No, you don't. No whatsoever. And do you know what? The scary thing is when I was looking at this week's list, they are so big, so thick. I mean, especially when you get down to Philip Pullman. And I don't want anybody to judge me here, but some of the people here, Jay, I had not come across before. Philip Pullman, I hadn't come across before. Mm-hmm. Lee Child, Dan Brown, and Richard Osman, I had. I've obviously seen. I'm not going to lie, I haven't read them. I haven't had the chance to read them this week. But some things here which I thought were quite interesting. Cool. So Lee Child, the first one here. Now, I actually really like him as an author. He's done a couple of things recently, like masterclasses. He does a lot of social media. But interestingly, I spoke to a few family friends and said, the new book from Lee Child, have you read it? And they were all like, who? Jack Reacher, they know, because it's kind of like his character. And he interestingly says this quite often. He says a lot of people don't know who he is, but they know who Jack Reacher is. And obviously he's featured with people like James Patterson and so on. Yeah. So interestingly, so a few little facts about him. He didn't start writing until he was 40 years old, and he was fired from his television job. Now, I'm allowed to say that. He's actually quite open and honest when he says, I was fired from my television job. No, he actually, on all of his platforms, he says, he's quite open and honest. He said, I was fired. He talks about how obviously they were bringing in younger versions of him, and he was obviously that bit older. He started writing at 40, so he was quite a bit older. And I think from him as well, again, he knows Jack Reacher, but there's a really interesting fact around him, which I didn't know. But basically, he starts every single novel on September the 1st. He's got like a particular day.
I mean, the story starts, not he starts writing it.
No, he actually starts, he himself starts writing on September 1st. Because he said it's a way for him to then go, right.
I have to do it.
Yeah. and it stops procrastination and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was very interesting, and that's kind of like a fact. That's like a deadline every year that he's getting to. But and also from his point of view, 30 novels to date and 24 solos. So again, he has written quite a few with James Patterson and other people. But I thought that was interesting. You don't have a particular date that you like to write on, or
no? I'm just a little bit like Alan Partridge. You know, he like sort of talks into a dictaphone. It's an idea for what I'm going to do. That's kind of how I would do it. And then I'd start ideating on it. I was going to say on that one, why are we not mentioning Andrew? Given that I don't know who Leo Child is.
Yep.
I know it's Andrew Child. It says with Andrew Child. Like, is that like, did he just do some illustrations, or like?
I don't know.
No.
It's a very good question.
Like, are they brothers? Like,
it's not really fair either, is it? I know that Lee Child is in very, very big bold letters, and then obviously Andrew's just kind of here.
Like you too.
Yeah. So good question. I'm going to find out, and I will find out.
That would be like fact 2 or something. You can have Andrew is doing whatever.
I should have known that. Really,
no, it's fine. I wasn't trying to catch you out.
So we will move on to Dan Brown, because then maybe that's good.
Yeah.
And I think everybody, hasn't they, have heard of the Da Vinci Code?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes. quite a big bestseller. So again, Dan Brown's book. I mean, that's, you almost need a whole month or so.
Or a holiday.
I'm not sure I could even finish that on a holiday, but his books are always amazing. He always has so much. They're just lovely. Even if you're not going to read it, it's a bit of a masterpiece. But Dan Brown, he was actually a songwriter first and foremost. I did not know that. Okay. I was a bit like, oh, okay. He wrote the bestseller of all time, which was obviously the Da Vinci Code. His first 3 books weren't popular until that one hit, which I started the Da Vinci Code. I didn't finish it because the film came out, and I thought, I watched the film, and then I never went back to the book, which again I should have done. But with the Da Vinci Code, that was again such a really nice book, and so on. He has also written 8 now number 1 best-selling books, so fair play to him. But I was actually surprised. A lot of the authors that I talk about have written 20, 25, 30 books. So for me, 8 number 1 bestsellers, I kind of thought that I'm actually surprised with that. But since then, he has sold 250 million copies. So wouldn't that be lovely?
That would be okay.
Wouldn't that be nice? So I'm going to move on to Richard Osman. So do you know what? I think every bookstore now that I go into, there is always a Richard Osman book. There is always one at airports, W.H. Smith's, all bookstores. He just seems to be everywhere. So you have heard of him?
I have heard of Richard Osman, yeah. Definitely.
But I think what's interesting with him, and I did quite a bit of research. I don't know about you, but when I was looking at book covers, I sort of looked at all of the different genres and thought, okay, well, what does my cover want to look like? What do I want it to be? I have obviously changed them recently because, again, I thought, a bit outdated. I want them to look a bit more dynamic. But for Richard Osman, I find that actually he's got quite a unique style.
Yes, yeah.
Very kind of, cream backgrounds. It's always in this kind of slanty writing. So for me, I think that's why he stands out quite a bit. But
definitely.
Interesting.
That's why you've seen it everywhere, because it's that inimitable style that he's kind of got and stuff.
But I've spoken to so many people, and they absolutely love his writing. So from his point of view, which I thought was quite interesting as well, he is a television presenter as well. So you've probably seen him on Pointless. I think everybody.
That's how I know Richard. By the way.
Most people go, oh, wasn't he the guy on there? Yeah. So obviously he's known for his TV. But also, interestingly enough, do you know, firstly, the band Suede?
I do know the band.
Remember the band Suede?
I'm old enough to remember.
So I was thinking, I know Suede. His brother, Matt Osman, is the bassist.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which I didn't know that. So again, maybe he needs to feature his brother in little writing underneath the book.
On the audio book, he could do some guitar.
Yeah, bit of music, bit of background. Oh. Yeah, so I found that very interesting. From his point of view as well, he has written 13 books to date and sold over 15 million copies, which again, I was like, I know he'd written quite a few, but I didn't realise the extent of how many he'd sold. So love this. I'm kind of building a big old pile here, but I'll put them back in a minute.
No, I'm out of people I've heard of as well.
So these two. I'm not going to lie, I hadn't either. But then when I started speaking to people and saying, have you heard of Philip Pullman and Jay the author? A lot of people are like, oh, so I think they're very, into, from a niche point of view, from a genre point of view, very, very big. And also, I don't know about you, but from my side, from being an author, I've done a lot of research on TikTok, and there are completely different books that are popular versus books that are popular on, say, the mainstream retail, Waterstones, that kind of thing. So moving on to Philip Pullman, he started as an English teacher.
Okay.
I mean, again,
more conventional than maybe.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I would look at it.
And that to have that background of writing experience and so on, I'm swamped by
it's like
swamped by all the books here.
Massive books.
I mean, this is huge. Again, I think you need quite a few holidays.
You get quite a lot of dust on it as well.
But beautiful. Nonetheless, I know that people are really into kind of sprayed edges and all sorts of things at the moment, but amazing. He was born in Norwich in 1946, so kind of, again, a bit more sort of traditionally, UK. He's won numerous awards, including the Carnegie Medal and the Whitbread Book of the Year. So, his writing is very, very good. His books are incredible. He's known more for his Dark Materials trilogy. That's what everybody seems to be talking about. So again, if you want 3 huge books to read, he's your man. Over 30 books have been written, and he sold 49 million. So for somebody who I actually hadn't heard a huge amount about, 49 million is actually pretty good.
That was going to be one of my questions today. I'm genuinely not trying to catch you out, but like how many you have to sell to even get on this like bestsellers list. Like these are crazy numbers.
And interestingly, so I did a bit of research on Sunday Times bestseller, and not only is it the amount you're selling, but it's the consistency.
Got it.
So if somebody, imagine you've got a celebrity and they release a book and they say, oh, this is my biography, for example, and they suddenly sell loads. Sometimes they don't always make it to the Sunday Times bestseller or the New York Times bestseller. It has to be almost like a consistently every week you're selling X amount, and then so many to reach
like golf rankings, or something. Period of
exactly, a bit more relatable. But I think that's the thing is that everybody strives to be on that list.
I do like that though.
But it's
because you can't then game that. I imagine then it's much more difficult, because what you could do is if it was just how many that week, you could, like you said, you could have just a fence on social media for a bit and then go up. So, okay.
And it's again another thing that I was looking at when I was writing is it's always bestseller, and the same obviously for my books. It's the bestseller, the Years Young collection was a bestseller, but in its particular category on Amazon. So again, it was like, okay, if you look at all of the different categories, crime, psychological thrillers, romance, adult fiction, you then have the 100 list. These guys are obviously the best of the best, but then you also go into each individual genre on Amazon and so on. So
I'm only smirking because mine went to number 1 for like a day in like the most niche category of like
see, it's still a bestseller.
People in Wokingham that they all
it's exactly but do you know what I think also as well, it gives you that confidence then when you are writing to go, actually, do you know what, it's I haven't just sold the one copy, or
completely,
it's just sitting gathering dust on a shelf. It's got to a particular genre and people are reading it because it's it's interesting.
And that motivates you to write more and explore other things and stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. Definitely. So I have one last one before I disappear behind these. Oh yeah, save the best one till last. I'm going to be very careful here. So again, beautiful. And do you know what? I think any book that is in that kind of sort of fantasy sci-fi world, they all have amazing covers.
They do,
look at that. I don't know if you can kind of see the kind of the patterns and etc. But again, another huge book. Can somebody please bring out a smaller short stories here? I mean, what a lot of effort, creativity and so on. But so Jay Kristoff, just to kind of give you an understanding, and this one, I don't know why this fascinated me more than any of the other facts about the authors, but he is 6'7" tall.
Okay. Isn't Richard Osman really tall as well? Is there a correlation between?
We might have to have tall, like a size guide, I think maybe.
Is that the challenge?
And he is Australian. He's an Australian author.
Okay.
So again, maybe that's why we haven't necessarily seen, or I haven't personally seen a huge amount about him, but obviously he's becoming very, very popular. He is known very well for his fantasy and sci-fi, and he worked in creative advertising for 11 years before full-time writing. So again, I don't know whether obviously that has got kind of a bit of feel for him and why, his creativity, but again, if you look at the reviews online, they are phenomenal. He has written 16 novels to date, translated in 35 countries, and he's sold over 2 million. So not quite as high as the others, but I think, again, he's a newer author. I mean, obviously, Lee Child's been around for a lot longer. But again, it's something for us to aspire to, I think, really.
Just trying to work on the maths of that, of 16 books of that size, assuming they're all roughly the same size, you'll be doing it a while. But just a phenomenal. But I mean, again, I think it's nice to, look at the trends, look at the authors that are out there at the moment, and go from there. So next on my list, what I wanted to do, more importantly, was to actually talk about your book a little bit more. So I'll let you kind of, I suppose, talk about what it is, the title, and then we'll go into some a little bit more detail. Okay. Yeah, well, I decided to call it cyber risk management, kind of say what it is early on so people know kind of what they're buying, I suppose. I think it's one of the biggest challenges we have in cybersecurity is actually identifying what risks are. I think certainly now, if you look at mainstream media, there's lots of incendiary volatile headlines about lots of hackers are going to steal lots of things and everything's doomsday scenarios and stuff. So why don't I write something that actually lays out for kind of your non-cybersecurity person? It's generally a business exec. I'm thinking CEOs, CTOs, CIOs, saying, look, there are lots of terrible things that can happen with kind of digital kind of communication and things, but actually prioritizing the things that are important to your business and trying to give them something, very much in what I'm doing now actually as well, trying to give something actionable and demonstrable in terms of what you can do. You can stand on stage and pontificate and say, hey, we should shift security left, or it's everyone's responsibility. But what does that mean for somebody who's got 100 other things to be doing? So I thought I'd actually put a book together that sort of walks through, right, what is someone who could potentially cause harm or do something accidental? What are some of the things that would cause that? What's some of the impact, and what are some of the things we can do to mitigate or remove that? And I've tried to write in quite a casual sort of, I don't know, first person. You could sort of see me saying it rather than, I think lots of people get very sort of scientific and academic in cyber and see it as almost a badge of honor, and they're quite boring. No offense, lots of boring cyber people, they are. So and it's, I think too often than not, you get a lot of books that go off into the jargon. So it's sometimes it is quite nice to have that easy reading and really kind of actually get down to the detail rather than spill off all these words that people go, well, I don't really unless you're actually in it or you're actively, kind of engrossed in it, it can be quite difficult. What was your, I suppose, your biggest driver behind creating it? Was it obviously because of the experience you'd had and perhaps maybe any frustrations at work, or was it more to do with, I think this is needed? It's a bit of column A, a bit of column B. That's the worst answer. Bit of a combination. No, it's true. It's true. And also, I thought from kind of where I was in my career, it'd be a really good opportunity. There was maybe less so now with the explosion of social media, but certainly back when I wrote the book, it was very much a case of, right, if you were a published author, that gave an inordinate amount of credibility to you as a practitioner. Now, if that's if there's correlation and causation there, I'm not sure, but it certainly was something that people did. So I thought, right, I'm gonna write a book. I was approached about writing it. By that point, I'd moved to sort of vendor world. I was doing lots on stage, lots in the media and things. People were like, "Oh, come and do this." So I was like, well, if I get complete control of what I'm writing, then I will. And I'd kind of written a kind of master's project on risk anyway. I think that's kind of where it came from. So you're used to writing long content, boring, I mean, it was quite boring. But so it kind of came from there, really. It was a case of, right, well, I'd written something about demystify. This sounds like a riveting, hardly one of these, but demystifying the risks of public cloud computing. That landed pretty well. So I thought, right, okay, well, I'll expand that from just this very kind of specific esoteric thing into, right, we'll talk about all forms of cyber. And it went all right. Yeah, I guess. Good. Don't know. Yeah. No, it's an achievement, isn't it? It's something that you've spent a long time working in that industry, and it's that achievement in producing something. Is there anything that you would change? Going back now, I've learned so much, obviously, from my first one to now my fourth and going on to my fifth.
I wouldn't say I'm ashamed, but I also look back at the first one and go, oh God, like that was a bit sloppy, or should have changed that bit, or I'd like to tweak that a little bit. And that part of that was obviously, you know, I did change the covers from what they originally were to what they are now. But is there any, what would you kind of change, or anything you've learned?
That's a good question. Mine's probably like hugely ironic, given that now I'm working so heavily in like brand and go to market and things. Is anything like visual with it? Like I was so heads down in writing it, and there's a pretty aggressive timeline for it as well. So I was like, right, if I focus on this bit, my publishers will focus on the other bit. And they did, and you know, no disrespect to them, but it wasn't an area that I focused a lot of time in. And when you're writing, and I don't know how you write, but if you're sat there in Markdown or Word or whatever you're using, you don't really think about diagrams, and you don't think about the front cover or anything like that. So I kind of left that. You're
so engrossed in the content, aren't you? And it's like, I've got to finish.
So like my editor had said to me, so right, Kristoff, don't forget like where you're going to have like the various different like references and diagrams. And I'm like, oh crap, I've forgotten the diagrams. So that felt a little bit like hasty on my side. And then I spent no time on like cover design or anything, which now people.
And I know you were sort of saying, weren't you, about you know, I'd like to do.
Well, yeah, there's lots of, and again, it's good because it's for the audience and stuff. But like for me, when I'm helping clients at the moment with things like branding and kind of, like I said, go to market. Yeah. Like for me, like lots of like padlock symbols and things like that are not really my cup of tea, but it does resonate, I suppose. But that would be the main thing. I would have carved out more time across the like, I think 13, 14 months for, okay, this is like the content, but also like the packaging of this is something that's, well, clearly these people know what they're doing. Like they've all got...
you know, I think, it's really interesting you said that, because again, you know, as what I was watching, I think it was an interview that Lee Child was talking about, and he was talking about his first book, and he said, I didn't like the cover of the, you know, the first one. So I think maybe every author gets to that stage where they go, that was almost like a big learning curve for me. I've done it. Now how can I improve it? And I don't know, it must be the same with most people. You kind of look back and go, gosh.
So should we all just start with the covers?
I think so.
If there's content afterwards, fine.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to admit, I get a cover designer to do all mine now, because I have a couple of ideas, but there's a difference between doing those ideas and then actually properly producing it. So I just go over to you guys now.
No. I think that's probably the only one. Like I was lucky, I had like sort of 6 or 7 people who did interviews for it as well. So like in terms of, like I said, you're making it actionable. I try to end each chapter with an interview with someone who's actually doing that thing. So I was lucky the content side of it was great, but probably that. I'm trying to think of other things that I would do differently now. Probably not have a baby during
just to throw in the mix there, just to add a little bit of chaos in that. So for you, what's kind of next? Have you got any other books that you're planning on, or is kind of, you know, you kind of going a different way? Where would you like to see things in, I don't know, say 5-10 years time?
Like at the moment I'm pretty much sort of helping clients sort of like build and sell their own sort of security products at the moment, which is tons of fun. But there's a massive kind of media and production side to the company that I'm building. So there will be lots of content. If I sit down, I mean, I don't think I'm going to manage.
I don't think.
Certainly not that.
I think you need a bit more time on your hands to do that. Yeah.
Well, it shows that, you know, it's still long form. You know, for all this kind of narrative or rhetoric that you know, there's no time for long form content. Clearly, these guys and girls are proving that there is.
Yeah. Do you think then that AI, you know, the way that things like AI is going, and obviously you work in that space, do you feel? I mean, I suppose what I'm trying to say is, how do you feel that is going to make the industry? Do you think there are going to be less books? Do you think there's going to be less market for that, and it's going to move more to AI? I think it'd be a shame if it did. But...
I think it'd be a shame. I think, I mean, the way I honestly think about it, as someone who wrote like MSc projects and books before AI was, I mean, AI's been around a lot. We could nerd out on that for a bit. Like, in the like more kind of like modern manifestation of what AI is, it wasn't around when you wrote your first book or when I wrote mine. So you do look at it now, and there is I don't know about you, but there is a skepticism when I say...
It's a little bit scary, isn't it?
It is.
In some parts, yeah.
Well, and also people have just entirely sort of like just not written the things that they're saying. But I think... Well, it's proven, isn't it? Like people are still buying good content from established. You talked about how many books each of these people have written, and I think that credibility is enormous, right? I think so.
And it takes it away, I think, from from an author who's put all of that hard work to suddenly then think that you can obviously go into AI and just write a book. I just think it takes the passion and the creativity and everything else away from people. So,
but we know uniqueness to anything that's going on, because largely a large language model is taking from experience and already written stuff. So it's essentially, it might sound coherent and look good
Yeah.
But it's something someone else has already thought about and said. And surely if you're sat on a beach reading one of those, you want something that hasn't been done before.
Exactly.
I don't know. I don't read very
much.
No,
I totally agree. Totally agree. So I've got an interesting question for you now. If you were stranded on a desert island, which would, by the way, I think would be lovely. But if you were stranded on a desert island, well, who's the one author that you would take with you, or that you would be stranded with?
You're going to get some authors on give you brilliant answers. Like some obscure, like, I don't know, like.
And to be fair, I've thrown this on you. This was not a kind of.
Kathy did not tell me we were doing this. Honestly, it would probably be, and this is really, really cheesy, but of books that I actually have attempted to start reading that are fiction, like in terms of what we do, like I've read just a ridiculous amount of books that have all kind of helped my career or been research for stuff that I'm doing, and actual fiction is not something I've done a lot. But Harry Potter is something that I have dipped into. But unfortunately, like you with your Da Vinci Code example, I did largely watch them. Do you know what I mean? I bought them for my children though, so it probably would be J.K. Rowling. I think she'd also be like an incredibly interesting character as well, which maybe we won't go into today. But do you know what I mean? Like
you could end up having these really vivid dreams or vivid nightmares, couldn't you, whilst you're on a desert island? It could be quite interesting. Taking her along.
So that's the most generic, like boring answer you're going to get.
No, I don't think that's boring at all. I think that's well deserved. And what's the one thing that you would take? So anything in the entire world, if you're on a desert island with just J.K. Rowling, what would you take?
This just shows how like antisocial and neurodiverse I am. My immediate answer would be my laptop. I mean, I wouldn't be talking to.
But would you have Wi-Fi?
That's the thing. Yeah, I don't know. What would I take? Well, in relation to the conversation with J.K. Rowling.
No, it's anything at all. I honestly thought you were going to say trainers. I thought you were going to say pair of trainers.
I don't know, because if you've got sand, I wouldn't want to get sand in my. I'm thinking practically. Like, I wouldn't want to get sand in like nice, expensive things. What would I take? I mean, quite into training at the moment. Probably some gym. I suppose I could like run around the island. I don't know.
These
run around in
terrible. Like, I know. Well, they're actually quite poor questions, if I'm honest. But
pretty standard. No, I'm joking.
I would take. You know what?
What would you? Let me interview you. What would you take?
A chocolate plant.
Okay. That's a great answer.
Yeah, see, on the hope that I could just have chocolate for forever. But
shit, I should have.
You probably then wouldn't have milk or sugar anyway. I don't know.
I'm now thinking of what would be a better answer for both of them. I'm going to stop you in a minute. Oh, actually, no, my favourite author is.
But no, I mean, I think, again, I think a lot of people would say pen, paper, there's a lot of questions they could go to. But I do have a bit of a challenge for you.
Great.
And I apologise. I should have told you this beforehand just so you could practice, but that makes it all the better.
Okay, great.
So,
do I have to move?
No, only a little bit.
Okay.
Only a little bit. No kind of push-ups or handstands or anything like that. So you've heard of the House of Cards?
Yes.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to do the House of Books.
Right.
So I have created some little pack of playing cards, yes, for my book. And what you're going to do in 2 minutes to see if you can build a house of books.
In the like conventional or traditional
Absolutely.
House of Books?
Yeah, so no pressure, but you have 2 minutes.
Laminating them is made.
And then what we're going to do is we're going to put your score on the board.
Right.
So every author is going to have their
What
score
about if you don't do it in 2 minutes? Am I still on the board?
You're going to have a big fat 0.
Okay, great stuff. Right.
Pretty much.
Okay. So I'm just right. Okay.
I am
incredibly
going
stressed now.
to. Your time starts now.
Okay. I don't think pace is. Really...
And we know that it can be done, so no pressure.
Okay. Right. Well, there's an immense amount. It's really good that you've managed to bend them, Kathy, as well. So thank you.
Yeah, feel free. If you want to bend them, move them. No pressure while we're all watching.
Are you going to have music to the background of this?
Like a did and yeah.
Well, no, hold on. That would suggest that I'm not doing a good job of this. Right, let's not start with those two because I'm not sure that they are the best. I'm blaming my materials already.
And also, you have
don't breathe near them. God, they're like.
I'll be quiet.
No, I'm joking. Go on. I'm now genuinely scared to.
Yeah, I think you've got the first little bit.
I think you'll get someone who can't even do that. So I feel a little bit okay about.
Not to panic you, but you have nearly a minute left.
Oh well, I'm bossing it now, aren't I? I haven't really worked on the.
Next to the roof.
My wife will tell you I'm the worst person to do this. Flat pack furniture and okay. Well, this is.
Imagine after a few beers.
I was going to say piece of piss. This right. Okay. So. The next
So
bit would
1
be-
minute 10, you have.
I haven't quizzed you on if I'm allowed to swear or not, but this is really grinding my gears. It's quite a good metaphor for sort of working in cybersecurity in many different ways.
Yeah, patience.
Yeah, or futility. I'm not sure. Which is more appropriate. You're sounding very smug. I like the way that you're.
I'm thinking, nearly there. You have 10 seconds left.
Well, I feel.
Do I get to knock them all down afterwards?
I think they'll just fall down, mate. To be honest.
Oh,
I'm,
we could have played dominoes.
I'm actively giving up by this now.
2 minutes. I think you did very well.
Okay.
I thought that was a good attempt at a challenge.
Am I the first one to try it?
You are. You are the very first. So it was actually quite unfair, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, but I think you did very well as a novice.
Thank you.
So, the next one is, so I actually asked for a lot of readers or a lot of listeners to tell me, who do you want to see? You know, what's your favourite author? It doesn't necessarily have to be somebody on the Sunday Times bestsellers, but I think it's actually really important for individual authors to be called out. Now, even though I've taken a lot of the kind of listeners' advice on who they would like to see, or you know who they would like to talk about, Freida McFadden. So this is The Intruder by Freida McFadden, and I've got to give her a shout out here because I've actually mentioned her to a few people and they've gone, who? So she's at the moment, you know, I think it's interesting from her point of view because she's very, very popular on the likes of TikTok and some of the other platforms. I have, again, a couple of interesting facts about her. I actually started reading her, and I've got to be, you know, completely honest from her. The first 2 chapters I found quite slow, and I thought, you know, she is still a bestseller. You know, TikTok are raving about her. First 2 chapters, and I thought, you know, I've got to give it a go. From there on, amazing. Okay. Very, very good, kind of spine-tingling, you know, really, really good from a thriller's perspective. And also, she's just about to release, it's called The Housemaid, a new film that's come out, and it's Freida McFadden who's been behind it. So I actually see her as quite an exciting author. She is a Sunday Times, but not this episode's Sunday Times bestseller. So a few things that I thought were very, very interesting about her. She also worked, she doesn't anymore, as a physician specialising in brain disorders, which I thought was very fascinating. So again, I think that's where the kind of psychological thriller, crime, suspension pieces come from. And her first self-published book was The Devil Wears Scrubs. So interesting enough, again, I think what's important here is if you actually go back to where all of these people have started, including Freida McFadden, I think it's actually interesting to understand that, you know, she's obviously been through that whole self-publishing journey. She didn't just instantly make it a big hit. She's gone on that process as well. So very, very interesting. But she recently left her medical practice to focus on full-time writing. So again, I think it's, from the same point of view, I'm not saying that obviously you worked in, you know, kind of the psychology space, but it's interesting again that you kind of pulled your experience and your, you know, all of your knowledge and pulled it into a particular book that you've written, and the same with her. Yeah, brilliant. So, well, I'm glad to be put in the same breath. But but I think it just reinforces what you were saying, or what we were saying though, about, you know, certainly in a world of like AI generated content, to have like credible authors who've got that backstory and relevance in what they're doing, I think is pretty dope. And you can't, I personally don't think, I know obviously it is a learning engine, but I personally don't think, you know, somebody who's been able to see and experience some of the things that she's obviously got to experience, to put that into book, I think is so valuable. Her novels have since been translated into 45 languages, and she has written over 30 books and sold over 6 million copies. So again, very, very interesting. And I have promised myself that I'm actually going to read The Housemaid before the film comes out, because I'm intrigued. It does look very, very good. I think it's out very, very soon. But I'm going to finish this one first, and then I'm going to read that one. When I saw that come out, I thought we were going to go and build it. Yeah. So we have like 25 copies behind there. Do you know what? It was my initial thought. I thought, do you know what? I'm going to get actually a whole load of books. Physical books. But then behind the scenes, when I started doing it, I thought, you know, there's so many books and this is going to take forever. So I made it more difficult, basically. It leaves me to say thank you so much for being in the studio. I really, really want to hear from all of you listeners, watchers out there. I want to feature more and more exciting authors just like Chris. Please feel free to let me know who you'd like to see, who you'd like me to feature. I want to see more publishers and literary agents, but also I am going to include below in the links where you can buy Chris's books from. I presume again you're on Amazon and so on,
Amazon,
all the usual platforms.
Stuff,
Fantastic. So we're going to have all of that down below in the comments, and I would love your feedback and your thoughts on the next series of Authors and Read My Lips.